Well, hello everybody and good afternoon. So thank you very much for joining us. And today we are live with Sarah, who is our Vice Chair at the Thamesbank Credit Union. Sarah, how are you doing this morning?
Hello, yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you, Taz?
Quite well, quite rushed off my feet. Busy as always, as lockdown is easing, jobs are increasing. I'm feeling there's more things to do. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm busy too. Not as hectic as normal because I'm about to start a new job. So
Wow.
I've just got kind of this week off to get organised. Not a complete week off because I've just been repainting my home office. So I've got the lovely green colour behind me. Apparently green's supposed to be creative and calming. So yeah, just the usual and doing stuff for the charity. So yeah, but all good.
Fantastic. I mean, it's really great to hear that you got a new job, and so looking forward to learning more about that a bit later. But it's great that you found time to make time for us today. But also it's nice to know that you're rearranging a little bit of your office, and it is looking quite nice behind you. So really good background. So there's no need to change backgrounds on the on the blurring or all that. You looks absolutely stunning behind you. So you've done a great job in that. But I think today really is more about what our audience and our Thamesbank Credit Union members would like to know and learn a little bit more about you, Sarah, as I know that you've been involved with Thamesbank Credit Union for a few years now, and you are the vice chair. And so let's a little bit talk about, first of all, Thamesbank Credit Union and about your journey. So when did you first decide, I want to get involved with the credit union and I want to jump on the trustees? What made you first get involved with our organisation?
Yeah, so I guess I've always had an interest in sort of helping people and voluntary work. Got lots of voluntary roles that I do, and I've been an Army Cadet instructor for roughly about 17 years now. So I've always kind of had that. I'm always doing extra things over and above the day job. And where I used to work, I was in a senior management meeting, and Councillor Lambert, who was the chair of Thamesbank, came along for a management meeting at work basically, and we had a nice lunch, sort of buffet lunch with all the managers, and we were having a chat, and I just sort of said to him, I was like, what do you do when you're not a councillor? Have you got a day job? And he was telling me that he was retired, but he had loads of voluntary roles, and I'd always sort of had a bit of an interest in boards because I just attended the board at work and been on a few boards as school governor as well. So I got chatting to him and just asked him, what was Thamesbank all about? And he was telling me that it's all about financial inclusion. So there's lots of people that will get into debt and they might not be able to go to a high street bank to get loans, or they just might not be able to access the high street bank so easily, and then they would be vulnerable to loan sharks. And I just thought that was really sad. Sort of got background in public safety as well, so then that kind of really sparked an interest with me. How can we stop these loan sharks really? So that was something that kind of motivated me. And he said, yeah, we want someone, we need new trustees for our board. You'll be helping drive the strategy and helping to kind of steer financial inclusion, so you're helping people. So I said, is it charity? He said, it's not necessarily a charity, it's non-profit organisation, but the aspects, it's charitable aspects, and helping people to improve their lives and make things better. Because at the end of the day, we've all struggled with our finances from time to time, and if you haven't got your finances straight, then it's very hard for you to kind of get other aspects of your life straight, and that's when people might be vulnerable to loan sharks and things like that. Although it's not just about people that are financial exclusion. Obviously Thamesbank is a financial community for its members, and they come from all walks of life really, but that's kind of the aspect that really inspired me. So I had a couple of interviews, and luckily I passed those, and they said, yeah, we'd love to have you on the board. I wasn't on the board very long. I think it's about 6 months or so before I became vice chair, and it's been really exciting role, challenging at times, especially sort of juggling the day job and the family and other voluntary commitments, but it's been really rewarding, and I've really enjoyed it. I've learned lots of skills, met new people, and so yeah, definitely recommend it.
Absolutely. I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about your other activities that you've been doing and your voluntary role, and obviously and sort of working from home, and how you're managing all that. But with Thamesbank, I mean, yes, it's great to have you involved with your skills and experiences. But you touched upon financial inclusion, and also the community, and making sure that all walks of life are having access to information. Now, with obviously lots of people could be vulnerable to loan sharks, and using other things like Wonga recently. I know they no longer exist, but particularly when people are struggling, are vulnerable, they're looking for solutions. So what can Thamesbank do, or what do they do in order to encourage people to look into what they offer? And what has been, from your experience as a board member, the sort of uptake on people becoming members from various backgrounds?
Yeah, so really, in terms of kind of what Thamesbank can offer, so we've got lots of different types of loans based on people's needs. So to kind of prevent the loan sharking, because a lot of that is where people need money quickly. They call it sort of payday loans, so it could be sort of smallish amounts. Obviously it's all relative, but just to tide them over until the next payday. So we've tried to make our loans easier. We've tried to make them a bit quicker to access. So rather than having reams and reams of paperwork, we've tried to kind of reduce that and get loans to people quickly, so that if people just need a couple of £100, so we've got just borrowing loans, which are available on the website. You can also phone up to get information about how you apply, and they are means tested, but not so much as some of the high street banks. They are more accessible to people, but you don't necessarily have to be struggling financially, just to kind of want a quick loan. Obviously you're not tied in for a long period of time, so it's quite nice for that reason. And we also brought out, during the pandemic, we brought out a special key worker loan. So there's very low interest rates that are for key workers, and the whole idea was to kind of reward them, and also to help keep them going, because key workers, they're the ones on the front line, not necessarily just NHS workers. It can be refuse collection staff, anything like that really, anyone that's kind of classed as a key worker. And the idea is really to kind of help them keep going during the pandemic, so we could keep them going to work. So they might need a loan because their car might have broken down, or they might need a new car, that kind of thing really. So that was kind of our response to the pandemic, and as I say, that's quite a low interest rate loan. And we've also got the child benefit loan as well, and the lovely thing about that is the child benefit goes into an account, so it goes to pay the loan back. So you kind of get a lump sum up front that you might need at the beginning of the year. You've got things like school uniforms, all sorts of things that you might need to pay for, or just household expenses like the washing machine's broken or fridge freezer's broken, that kind of thing. So rather than then having to go somewhere and purchase those items on really high interest rates, you can take out the child benefit loan, and then what it does is you pay back out of your child benefit each month. The child benefit goes into the Thamesbank account, and then also after the loan's paid back, it carries on saving for you. So we found a lot of people that have kind of struggled with money. It's a really good solution, because at the end of it, they've got a lump sum as well that they've saved. So they've paid back the loan and they've also saved. So it's sort of encouraged and taught them about saving. So that's probably, I'd say, our most popular product, really.
Fantastic. And you talk about, obviously, saving is critical and key, and it can be that's a great, you're absolutely right, that's a great way to save without really knowing you're saving. It's a great tool, that is. But talking about savings, and what are your sort of top tips essentially on how we can save money?
Yeah. So I'd say like little and often, because you might think, oh, I'm just going to put a bit of money away here, and it's, oh, that little bit of money is not going to make any difference, so I'll just spend it, and then before you know it, it kind of adds up. So I'd say just save what you can when you can, because you never know when you're going to need it. But I'd say the other thing is just being really honest as well, just being honest with yourself. So when you're budgeting, looking at what your actual costs are and being really realistic and saying, what do I need? What is just something that I want? What is actually needs? Because there's things we think, oh, we need that. Actually, no, you might be able to manage without. So that's what I mean by kind of being honest with yourself, but also just being really honest about what your outgoings are, because I find a lot of time people will get themselves into debt because they don't know what their outgoings are. So, you know, for instance, that usually people know that they've got rents or mortgage, you know, you've got your utility bills, so they're quite obvious things, but there might be kind of hidden things that come out that you kind of forget about. Things like, for instance, if you wear glasses, obviously every couple of years you have to have your eyes tested and you have to have them changed and things like that, and that can be like a really big expense, and a lot of people don't budget for things like that because they just kind of forget, and then, you know, in two years comes around quickly and it's like, oh, I've got to afford new glasses again, oh, and the fridge freezer's broken and this has happened, I haven't budgeted for it. So I think when you do your monthly budget, just to put some money aside for that, and to think, okay, well, actually I've just bought a new washing machine, but that's got a shelf life probably of about 3 years, so I don't know what washing machine is, say a few £100, divide that between 3 years and say, right, I need to put X amount away each month for the washing machine, and just put that on your budget plan and just be really honest. And if you know that every week you get a takeaway, you put that on your budget plan. And I think the other thing as well is planning ahead. So I think it's very easy to kind of save short term, because we can say, right, okay, we're just going to pay the essential bills short term. But to carry on that long term is really hard. Obviously, we all want to go out now. Lockdown, we're coming out of lockdown.
Yes.
So you might be able to say, right, I can really kind of tighten my belt here. And that's really good if you're saving for something particular and you think, right, I can save short term. But in the long term, you need kind of a different strategy, because you can't keep saying no to yourself and, you know, not having little luxuries all the time. It's good for, like, if you want to save quickly. So I'd say just kind of plan ahead, know what you've got coming up. Like, you know, if you've got children and you know that they might want to start horse riding lessons, or, you know, if you're planning to have a baby, just save early on for that, because you're going to have like nursery fees and things like that. So I think it's just being prepared and not just thinking about like here and now, but what's happening in 5-10 years time, you know, even like 20 years time, thinking like planning for retirement and things like that as well.
So absolutely. I mean, I think one of the biggest challenges I found in terms of people's stories is that a lot of people are struggling with impulse purchasing. For example, lots of retailers put on sales or last minute things, a lot of pressurizing marketing. For example, you might get an email from a retailer saying, act now, you got, you know, the next 6 hours or you lose out the discount. So people feel pressured, and a lot of it is coming from marketing to purchase things. What can we do to, in a way, in your opinion, that we can repress a little bit of our impulsiveness? Because we are human, and we are going to feel, oh, I want that now, I want that. So what can we do? Have you got any tips about that? If you see something and you want to buy it, but you know you shouldn't buy it, but you want to buy it, what can we do, Sarah? Because that is a big challenge.
Yeah, I'm really guilty of that myself, actually. I'm terrible. That's probably where sort of I fall down, because I'm quite sort of organised, quite good at planning ahead and saving. But like you say, the impulse buys really get you. So I think it's thinking about your triggers, what would cause you to impulse buy. So for me, if I think, oh, I'm going to go to the shops, and I think, well, I'm not going to spend, chances are if I go to the shops, I see something, then I'll be kind of tempted. So I think you can kind of help yourself a bit by taking that temptation away. Another thing that I've started doing is I think to myself, do I really need that? So say I might go into a shop and I think, oh, I really like that, do I need it? Then what I'll do is I'll take a photo and I'll have a think about it, and I'll go home and I'll look back at the photo. So say it's like a dress or something, I'll take a photo of it, and then you can always reserve things in the shop as well if it's like the last one. And then go home and go through your wardrobe and think, have I got anything that's like that? Do I really need it? Where am I going to wear it? And have I got any other dresses that are kind of like similar occasion? And look in your wardrobe, like, is it all casual or is it all like dressy? If you've got a lot of dressy stuff but you tend to wear more casual because of the situation with lockdown or whatever. Yes. So I think there's like things like that. And what I say to my children as well, because they're like, Mummy, I want this, and they just want everything in the shop, and then 5 minutes later they change their mind. So what I say to them is, okay, let's do a birthday list or Christmas list, whatever's coming up first. And then I say, right, you can put everything on your list. And Amazon Basket's really good for that. And you can do like wish lists and things on Amazon. So I'll do that. And then sort of over the course of a month, their list will be like crazy. It'll be like £3,000 or something. Yeah. And I'm like, obviously, clearly you're not getting all of that. And I'll say, right, you can pick 1 or 2 things off your list. And they'll go through it, and half the things that they won't want, or they'll just forget about, but because it's on their list, they know it's there, it's written down, so Mummy's not going to forget about it, so I don't need to keep thinking about it. So yeah, I think that's quite a good way. And also to shop around, because I think there's like a saying, if something's too good to be true, it normally is. And that's what my dad always says to me. So if it's like something's like a real big bargain and they're really pressurizing you to buy it and all the marketing's there, it's like, well, actually, if it was that good, then they probably wouldn't need to do that. And is that product going to disappear off the face of the planet? Probably not. So don't be pressurized. I hate that tactic where it's like, you know, this, buy this now, yeah, the deal's going in a day, you've only got a day to buy it. Well, actually, they'll put the same deal on next month or the month after. So, you know, photo box is one of those where they always do that. We've got a sale, yes, and it's ending, and they do it, they repeat it every sort of few months. But what sometimes I find, like, because I quite like doing photo books and things, is I'll buy when they've got the credits, so they've got a sale on the credits, so I'll buy it in advance and then sort of build my photo book and then know the credits are there, because it kind of works out cheaper. So I guess again that's going back to kind of planning ahead and thinking what you need, things like planning ahead with meals, because again, like, I'm really awful for takeaways because I'm like so busy, and then it'd be, if I don't watch myself, it'd be like dinner time and I'm like, oh, haven't got anything and I'm really hungry, and my husband would be like, should we get a takeaway? And I'm like, no, we're trying to save, we're going to be good. And then it's like, oh, but I'm hungry, and like we're in the middle of stuff, and then I end up saying, yeah, okay, get one. So what I've started doing is in the mornings I've got a slow cooker, and I'll think ahead and I'll prepare something for the evening, because I know sort of afternoon, evenings, like the kids come home from school, I'm trying to like finish work, I've got like evening Zoom meetings, and it's chaos. So I know, like, if food's there, it's prepared, it's one less thing to worry about, and it's one less temptation to kind of pick up the phone for a takeaway, and it's much healthier as well. So
No, absolutely. I mean, I think your tips about planning ahead is so key, and also impulsiveness can be managed, and I think you really demonstrated there for our watchers today exactly what to do, really. And I love the idea that you put across regarding a wish list and a basket, and that's something which actually I've been practicing very, very well probably the last 2 years. And exactly what I would do, I would populate a shopping basket of things that I would like to happen, and then I almost trick myself and imagine that I purchased it. How do I feel? And I realized that it doesn't make any difference to my feelings after a few days. I'm no longer excited by it. It hasn't changed my life. And then I almost delete them off the basket. I didn't really need it, really. And in a way, it was a great way for me not to be pressured. I think one of the key things is growing up, especially when I was young, it was I needed it now. I need this now. And you purchase something and you feel very good. You feel very, very good. And that feeling of, euphoria, it lasts probably a matter of hours, of anything. And then afterwards, you crash back down. It's a bit like a drug, shopping on impulse. And I know lots of people at the moment are struggling with that, especially if they have other like mental health illnesses or other things going in their life. Shopping can be the only thing in their world that is control. They have control over this situation in a way, although it is uncontrollable because they are being controlled by the marketing, the media, and also by their wants rather than their needs. And I think exactly what you mentioned. It's about identifying what we really want and what we really need. And I think, do you really need a takeaway? But you mentioned also about triggering. So that only triggers when you're hungry. So well, if I have this going on, like you cook something on a slow cooker pressure, then when you're about to become hungry or you're hungry, you already got something prepared, and suddenly that cost is gone and you got something made. And it's identifying what the triggers are. So I think that hopefully for those watching this afternoon, think about yourself, what makes you feel triggered, what's causing you to make those decisions. A lot of it I've come across is about obviously our safety, our fear, and satisfaction. If we can control that in a way that we know what our fears are, because the fear of going hungry makes us impulse to buy, or the fear of not having something, and I think another thing really is, I want to add what you said onto that, is about not really caring, if you can possibly do that, about what others think if you purchase something or not. So you should never put yourself in a situation where you have to buy something because you think it might please others. That could be someone in your own family, your partner, or the community, or whatever. And I think the key thing is not being pressured and being in control. So thank you, Sarah. Really, really good points there. And I think that for those watching today, what do you think about Sarah's points? Please put in the comment box below what you do to stop your impulses, or do you have any more tips that we missed out on that we can learn from? Please comment if you don't mind, or send us a message. So Sarah,
I was just going to say, I think another really good point is as well with like the basket, and actually not being impulsive and thinking, right, I'm going to buy something later.
Yes.
Is another way to encourage you to save. Because I think if you say, right, I'm not going to actually buy anything unless I've physically got the money there, then you're never going to get yourself in debt, because you're going to save up to buy it. And then you might find, actually, when you've got that money there and you've worked so hard and saved the money, you understand the value of it, and you might think, well, actually, I don't need to buy that. I've saved X amount really quickly, so if I did that over the rest of the year, I could put that towards a deposit of a house, or whatever. Once you kind of get into that good habit of saving, then it just kind of compounds, and the more you save, the more it builds up. And then before you know it, you can afford what you want. So
Absolutely, really, really good tips there, guys. So it's very simple. It sounds very simple, but it obviously is difficult. But I guess you're right. The way you explained it, we start off very, very small. Start off very, very small, and it does compound over time. That's very key here, because what £1 is today could be £10 tomorrow, could be £100 next year. It is compounding over time, and I think it's thinking that long-term mentality. But one of the things really also is emergencies. A lot of us suddenly have a emergency, like could be your car breaks down and you have to repair something now, or some of us have service charges to our flats. So if we live in a flat, you got to pay a service charge, and we don't think about it until that letter comes across saying, you have to pay the service charge, and you think, oh no, I don't have that sort of money, and that puts you in stress. So if you pay service charge, for example, once a year, one of the things that you can do, I found, is just break it down monthly and put it away. So by the end of the year, you could pay, if it's a landlord or whatever, the management company, the actual service charge, especially those who are living in leasehold buildings. But thank you, Sarah, for that. Now, moving on really from your fantastic tips that you mentioned about saving. Obviously, your children are the next generation. And you touched upon a little bit about their wish lists, and exactly after a while, building up £3,000 worth of things they want to have. That's not going to happen, but they get to pick one or two, and I think you're teaching them about managing money. Now, what else do you do with your children to help them really understand the value of a pound?
yeah, so I guess it's kind of telling them how much things are. So when they pick something up, say, okay, that's this much, but putting it into context for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, my son picked something up the other day and said, oh, that's £100. Is that a lot of money? Mm-hmm. And I was like, yes. And he's like, okay, and he didn't really understand. So then I was like, well, okay, this toy's £1, so that's 100 of those. And he was like, oh wow, that is a lot. So I think it's making it relevant for them, so they kind of understand the value. And then what you can do, which I'm quite bad at, is giving them physical money. So you can kind of give them, I don't know, like say £1 a week. Yes. And then say, right, okay, we're going to go into the pound shop. So you can either spend your £1 this week and just get one thing, or you can save it up to the end of the month and then buy something bigger. And then that kind of teaches them, if they see a bigger toy, and then you say, right, you can save for that. Although I don't always get time I don't go shopping with them every day. Try and avoid dragging them around the shops too much. And so what I tend to do is put money in a bank account for them. So because I'm doing that, I'm not giving them the physical money to spend so much. So that kind of makes it harder to teach them, but it means that they're not spending money on rubbish. So when they were both born, I set up a bank account for them, and then they've got so many toys. So at Christmas and birthdays, I encourage like friends and family to give them money rather than give them toys. So obviously they need some toys, and people still want to buy toys, but I just say, well, can you just buy a cheaper toy? And because at the end of the day, toys are, well, I think, a real sort of waste of money. Not saying that they don't have any, they've got a whole playroom full of toys. I'm not like a mean mum, but when you actually look at the price of toys and you think, oh my goodness, like they'll play with it, or and just not want it after a little while, or it will break, and you just think, oh, it's ridiculous. Whereas toys that have been handed down, they're like the best, because that they've lasted. So we've still got toys from my nephew, and he is 21, something like that. I can't remember exactly. So he's obviously older, and my daughter who's 4 has still got toys that he had, whereas I can buy them really expensive toys and they'll last a couple of weeks. So I just think, well, sometimes it's worth buying secondhand toys. You can get real bargains, and most of them are like plastic stuff, and you can just disinfect it. So I think it's just, you don't always have to be pressured. Again, it's talking about pressure, and you don't have to look at watch the adverts and they say, oh, I want this, you don't have to necessarily buy that. And half the time with kids, the best thing that they spend most time playing with is cardboard boxes. And I know that from the charity, because I do lots of, like, we bake up wash bags and things, and we have lots of products, so there's always loads of cardboard boxes. And before, I'd be like going mad, and I'd be, as soon as they got a toy, I'd throw the cardboard box out. Now I just say, like, especially in the summer, it's great. I say, right, okay, cardboard box can go in the garden, or it can go in your room. You can make a robot, base, whatever you want to make out of it. But come bin day on Tuesday, those boxes are going in the bin. And then that way I'm not got loads of cardboard boxes hanging about, but they have a few days of having a bit of fun with them, and then they go out on a Tuesday to be collected for the rubbish collection.
Absolutely. I mean, children have such amazing imagination. Again, that's the key, is to tap into their imagination. And if you got a few days to create something from a cardboard, I think all of us did that when we were younger, is we were creating masks or robots or whatever we decided to do, or cards. And so absolutely, I think that's the key, to tap into that imagination. And some really good sort of suggestions that you've placed there. But talking about skills, so obviously working with obviously your job, but you're being home as a mum and your children, what skills that you have, or that parents should have, that will help them set up a routine, especially in a time like this where routine's been sort of chucked out the window, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say, routine is kind of like the hardest, because everyone says as soon as you have kids, it's like routine, you need to have a routine. And yes, a routine certainly helps. So it is really good to have a bedtime routine, because obviously otherwise the kids are going to be up, they're going to be cranky. But to be perfectly honest, my house, we try and have a routine. My son is completely hyper, so my daughter's really good. She'll go to bed, and my son, no matter what time I take him up, he's always up late. So I think the thing is just to kind of try and have a routine, but don't stress too much. So they say everything's got to be routined, and when your children are really young, I know, like with babies, they said it's really important to have a routine for your baby. But I think it's getting that flexibility as well, of having a routine but being able to flex it a bit, because I know I didn't have a routine with my son, because, as I say, he's quite hyper. And I found it difficult to kind of get things done. But I know friends that had a really good routine. I was kind of a bit jealous. And then some of them were telling me about times where they'd go out to like a party or a wedding, and they take the children with them. But because they were used to having such a strict routine, it just really stressed them out, and they couldn't cope with it. Whereas my children, I kind of can take them out and they're quite calm, like reasonably calm. It doesn't, they're not thrown because by being out of their routine. But I'd say everyone's individual, so just do what works for you and works for you as a family. So with my daughter, she likes her sleep, she's quite calm, she's probably sort of more like sort of normal routine. So she has a bedtime routine. If she doesn't go to bed, she gets really cranky, so I try and put her to bed early. Whereas my son, if I try and put him to bed early, he's still up and it just stresses him out. So now I just say to him, right, you can go up with a book and read to yourself. But also for me, it's important for me to have a bit of a routine, because I have so many things that I'm juggling, and it's really easy to kind of think, oh, what am I doing, not get things done. So I have to kind of have a little bit of a routine in my life, where I get up a bit earlier before the kids, make sure like everything's out for school as much as I can. Obviously I'm not perfect, it doesn't always work out, but then I try and in the morning before I start work, I try and put wash load on, I try and put some dinner in the slow cooker and make sure the dishwasher's empty, so that I can put the breakfast stuff in there, so it's just a little bit tidy, so it's not completely chaotic. So then I can go into my office because I'm working from home, start my day, have my meetings, and then when I come out to go into the kitchen to get some lunch at lunchtime, I know that kind of it's not a complete mess. I've not got like the breakfast food everywhere still. So yeah, just things like that really. Trying to take a lunch break where I can. I'm trying to be good. I've got gym equipment in my garage, and I'm trying to sort of have a set lunchtime and have a lunchtime routine where I use the gym. But to be perfectly honest, I'm like failing miserably at that.
It's difficult for all of us at the moment with the gym, and they're open up very soon, but it's good to have your own one if you can. That's fantastic. But you mentioned about juggling. I think juggling is a skill that is underappreciated, unless you work in the circus, but obviously you don't. So how do you do it? Because I know that you mentioned in our sort of previous meetings and discussions about that you are a Hillingdon champion. And also during the last year that you became a vaccinator during the COVID vaccinator. So tell me a little bit, but tell us, sorry, about how did you get involved becoming a Hillingdon champion, and what made you decide to support the NHS?
Yeah, so I guess during the pandemic, my kind of response straight away was, what can I do? What can I do to help? I suppose we're all kind of built differently, but for me, I'm always I like to be very kind of proactive. I always like to help people. So it's my way of kind of coping with it. So I was like, what can I do? This massive global pandemic is really serious. I need to do something. I can't just be kind of one that just sits there, because I think I would then probably get more anxious. Everyone deals with it differently. My way was to kind of just get involved and help out. So I set up a charity called Serving Our Superheroes, and I've been putting like wash bags into the NHS, and they're filled with toiletries, and also for the homeless, lots of different things, just getting products out to people where we can, where they're needed. But also I signed up to, I got in contact with the local councillors and said, at the very beginning, nothing was kind of really set up. And I said, where can people access help? So I started putting notes through neighbours' doors, like doing shopping for like local neighbours that were elderly, needed help. And then it was just kind of, what else can we do? And then one of the councillors put me in contact with a charity called Hillingdon for All, and they've been sort of working with the local council during the pandemic. And they asked, they said they had this role for calling people. So it's a COVID care caller. So calling people that are isolating, just to check on them and see what they needed. So I started doing that. And then recently they brought in community champions. So it's about sort of getting health messages out to the community, and just sort of being there really to kind of help out. But it's mainly about getting awareness messages out. So I did that. And then I set up a Facebook group called, I think it was Helping Hillingdon, or Hillingdon Community Group. I can't remember. It's on Facebook, and sorry, it's so many. So I started putting messages on there. But I've also got a group that I set up, which was inspired by Mukesh, who's our chair. He set up the Rotary Swap Shop, which was a WhatsApp group in Hounslow. And so I've set up something similar in Hillingdon, because I found, when you're running a charity, or you're trying to help out and do what you can, there's lots of different people doing different things. Yes, and not everyone knows about each other, and it's really hard to find out about other groups and to be able to try and help them. So we all kind of, throughout the course of the year of running the charity, I've worked with different organisations and come across different community leaders, and we've all sort of worked together. And I might think, someone might say, oh, I've got loads of blankets, for instance. And I might think, right, well, I actually know Shower Box, for instance, are giving out blankets to the homeless, and they need more blankets. So it's kind of getting stuff from here, where they've got an excess of blankets or whatever's in need, to getting it over there. So I set up this group, so we all sort of talk to each other on WhatsApp, got about 20 members. Fantastic. And I might say, right, I've got another 100 wash bags. Does anyone need them for their charity? And we can all comment, and someone might say, oh, I've got a lady I'm looking after, she needs some clothes. And then it'd be like, right, okay, who's got clothes? And we'll all kind of work together to get things to where they're needed. So that's been really good. And a lovely kind of story from that was a lady contacted me and said, I've got these a lady called Jackie from Dress a Girl Around the World, and she said, we've got these beautiful dresses that we normally send out to Uganda, but we can't send them because of the pandemic. Is your charity interested? Because she saw that I'm trying to get clothes out for people. Obviously a lot of parents are furloughed or lost their jobs, so she said, I've got these beautiful girls' summer dresses, are they any use? So I said, yes please. I've been working with some domestic violence refugees, and they definitely need them. So I was like, yeah, great. So she brought some round, and while she dropped them off and we were just chatting, and she said, oh, I've got hundreds, they're all in my spare room because we can't get them out because, can't get the container going, or I'm not going out to Uganda, I can't take them. So she said, they're just kind of building up. And I said, oh, okay, how many have you got? And she said, a few hundred or whatever. And I said, okay, let me see what I can do. So because I'm involved in Rotary as well, I'm president of my local Rotary club, I knew that they were sending stuff out to India, so I thought, right, I might contact them. So I put on the group, who Mukesh is part of, he's part of Rotary as well, does anyone know, got these dresses, anyone got anything going abroad? Mukesh, if we've got something going to a Rotary sending a container, because I know he was working on ventilators going to India. Yes. So maybe we could put them in with the ventilators that are going out there for the space. And then straight away, one of my colleagues, Naz, came back and she said, my charity, One Nation, has got a container ship going out on the 4th of June, and we've got space. I can get those on the container. So I was like, right, great. So I got on the phone to Jackie and I said, right, how many of these dresses have you got? I can get a container. We've got a container that's going to Syria. So then Naz came, got the dresses, Naz came, collected them, and then she arranged for them to go on the container. So we had 400 dresses and 60 pairs of shoes that went out to refugees in Syria.
Wow.
So a really great kind of story of how we can achieve things just by working together.
Amazing. Amazing. And I know that we're quite short on time now, but that is absolutely inspirational. And I think sort of really want to sort of finish off really about what really motivates you, because you're clearly a very motivated individual, Sarah. You've got a lot going on, but you're managing it in a fantastic way, which many of us would struggle. You clearly are driven and motivated to make change in the community. But what really drives you, Sarah?
I don't know, it's real passion to really help people make a difference and kind of have an impact in the world. And I think because I'm so motivated and because it's something that's really important to me, it's like my values, something that I really believe in, that kind of motivates me. So when I'm tired, I'm just kind of, I can carry on because it's something I really want to do. So then it kind of energizes me because I'm like, yeah, we can do this great thing. And then I kind of get really excited about it.
Yes.
And then it's afterwards I think, oh, that was a bit tiring. But yeah, I guess it's kind of, it's easier to be motivated when it's something that you enjoy, something that you deeply believe is like really important. If it's something you're passionate about, then you'll always find time to do it. And I think as well, it's about kind of prioritizing your tasks, but also multitasking. So I think one thing that I've learned from the pandemic is it's been really hard, lots of ways. It's been really hard on lots of people, but there are positive things that have come out of it. So I've met lots of different people. I've learned that there's so many people out there that want to do good, that want to help people, so that's really good. But the other thing, the main thing is kind of, like that old saying where I used to say, oh, can't split myself in two, I can't be in two places at one time. And I've learned with Zoom you can. I've actually had that where I've had like 2 Zoom meetings going on at the same time, which I wouldn't recommend because it does give you a headache. But you can do things nowadays. I think you can sort of, you know, I'll do things like, if I think, oh right, I need to go and get a cup of tea or whatever, while the kettle's boiling, I'll be there like checking my emails, or if I've got, you know, text, I think, oh, I haven't spoken to someone and I just want to text them and check in, you know, just things like that you can kind of do while you're doing other things. So I think doing more than one thing at a time, which I think comes naturally to some of us that are parents as well. I think that's like a real skill, because you just kind of have to get on and do 2 things at once, 2 or 3 or 4 things at once. So I think it's just taking that philosophy and putting it across all aspects of your life, really. So yeah, just kind of multitasking, having a to-do list so that I don't forget things. I got so many things going on in my brain, I can't always remember everything. So like sticky notes, I've got sticky notes everywhere, I've got a whiteboard with things on. So yeah, there's kind of lots of ways to kind of organize your time, really.
Amazing, Sarah. So for our watchers today, please do try and maybe take a few notes of what Sarah mentioned today. But also, if you've got anything to add, please do let us know in the comment box below about what you do and what motivates you too. But Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
It's been absolutely fantastic to learn more about you, and I think we can be very proud. We're very proud to have you involved with Thamesbank Credit Union, and I'm sure that lots of people will resonate with your story, with your journey. And if anybody have got any more further questions to add to you, what's the best way to reach you, Sarah?
Yeah, so they can either email me at the Thamesbank account, or I think if people have got questions, they can put them in the comment box below, and then I can come back to them.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Sarah. I hope you have a lovely day today. And we really appreciate having you on. Massive inspiration to lots of people out there, and a great way for us to really think about today as a Wednesday, a day. What are you doing today? How's your schedule? You've got to prioritize, and also remember to write down that list. Write down a list and stick to it and be disciplined. But thank you, Sarah. We'll speak to you very soon. All the best.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.